Hello and welcome back to the Mysteries of Pandaria set review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the neutral cards. But before we dive into this set's cards, let's go ahead and take a look at its keyword. The keyword in question is channel. Channel is an end of turn effect that does something as long as you have the required amount of mana available. So keep that in mind as we get started, and we're going to be starting with the common cards. The first card we're going to look at today is going to be Pirate Cat. Pirate Cat is a 2-mana 1/2 beast pirate, and it reads, you can have any number of pirate cats in your deck. Summon a copy of this at the end of your turn. So he is an understatic little beast, but if you find ways of buffing him up, then he becomes stronger. I don't know if this necessarily means you can have 40 or 50 or 60 pirate cats in a deck. I don't see why not based off the wording, but I would assume that this means you can have up to 30 at least. He might possibly be the most perfect card. That's supposed to be a pirate R and a purr, but you know, I'm not a voice actor. We're going to take a quick look at 4 cards, all with the same kind of theme that we saw in the Paladin package, the sprites. Up first we have the Greenwood Sprite. The Greenwood Sprite is a 4-mana 3/2 minion with Battlecry. Add a random fire spell to your hand and a silenced copy of this minion that costs 0. After that we have a 2-mana 1/3 Amberleaf Sprite. Amberleaf Sprite reads Battlecry. Add a random holy spell to your hand and a silenced copy of this minion that costs 0. After that we have the Thistlereef Sprite. The Thistlereef Sprite reads is a 4-mana 4/1 Battlecry. Add a random fell spell to your hand and a silenced copy of this minion that costs 0. And then the 4th sprite is the Shadowfae Sprite, which is a 3-mana 2/2 minion with Battlecry. Add a random frost spell to your hand and a silenced copy of this minion that costs 0. Now keep in mind there are 3 other sprites that are exclusive to Paladin, but they all have a very similar effect where they add a random spell school to your hand and a silenced copy of the minion that costs 0. So you would get an additional 0-mana 2/2 instead of a 3-mana 2/2. It just wouldn't have its effect when it's played. Keep in mind that Spell School or Sith Mage is going to still be around for the next year, and these minions might be better options than other things in the class. Who knows? Next up, we're going to take a quick look at 2 fish that also complement the Mage package. The first one is going to be the Jeweled Danio. The Jeweled Danio is a 2-mana 2/2 tradable beast with Battlecry. Give another minion +1/+1, upgraded for each time you've traded since your last Battlecry. The other fish in question is going to be Tiger Gourami. Tiger Gourami is a 3-mana 3/3 tradable beast with Battlecry. Draw 1 card, upgraded for each time you've traded since your last Battlecry. And these minions both get upgraded in their stats as well as their incrementing effects. So the Jewel Daniel will give another minion +1/+1 if it hasn't been traded before. But if other minions have been traded before it could get +2/+2 or so on and so forth, while it itself is also gaining +1/+1 in stats. The Tiger Gourami would allow you to draw an additional card for each time you've traded before you played it, as well as giving the Tiger Gourami +1/+1. So it could be a 3-mana 6/6 that draws you 4 cards. You just have to have traded 3 times prior. There is one last fish that'll go with this set, but we'll see that when we review the rare cards in the next video with the epics and legendaries. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the Mogu cards. The first one we're going to be looking at is Mogu Embalmer. Mogu Embalmer is a 3-mana 4/3 minion with Reborn and Battlecry. Give another Mogu Reborn. Mogu Embalmer is a pretty powerful card that's going to allow you to bolster the Mogu minions, the ones you can find both in Shaman and in the neutral set. The next card we're going to be looking at is going to be Mogu Guard. Mogu Guard is a 4-mana 4/4 minion with Taunt and Battlecry. Give your other Mogu Death Rattle, draw a card. So Mogu Guard is going to allow you to draw and build up a more hand advantage while your Mogu sacrifice or defend. And next up we're going to take a look at Mogu Degrader. Mogu Degrader is a 4-mana 3/6 minion with Channel 1. remove 1 durability from all locations and weapons. So he'll rot your vegetables, he'll deteriorate your weapons, and he'll destroy your locations if he sticks around every turn. You want to be careful with this guy and potentially remove him, especially if you're trying to grow your own plants. And of course, I mean, when you're facing this guy down, you'll want to remove him. If you played him, you probably aren't growing anything yourself. And with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at the next Mogu, Mogu Shaper. Mogu Shaper is a 4 mana, 4/5 taunt minion with channel 1. Give your minions +1/+2. And note that's not just Mogu minions, that's all minions. And he buffs himself. And if you have 5 mana, he comes out as essentially a 5 mana, 5/7. And while the Shah have infected the minds of several of the classes, they also are lurking all over the rest of Pandaria. There's some Shahs in the neutral class, so let's take a look at them real quick. The first card we're going to take a look at is the Shah Spawn. The Shah Spawn is a 2 mana 2/2 minion with no text. Has no tribes, nothing special about it, just a neutral 2/2 minion for 2. But if you've paid attention to the other Shah videos, you understand that that's not a simple 2 mana 2/2. At least not all of the time. Up next, we're going to take a look at Shah Shaper. Shah Shaper is a 4 mana 2/2 minion with transform another minion into a 2/2 Shah Spawn. And again, the same implications for that being just a 2 mana 2/2 minion aren't quite true, as each of the classes that have interacted with the Shah have had some way of giving them either additional stats or giving them additional effects and keywords. So take a look at Death Knight, Priest, Warlock, and Warrior to see how each of them interact with the Shah minions themselves. But let's take a look at the last Shah minion, Shah Hound. Shah Hound is a 3 mana 2/2 minion with Battlecry. Choose an enemy minion, force it to attack this minion. Now, that sounds like a pretty bad effect off the rip, but if this has gained any of the Shah bonuses or buffs, that's quite possibly a 3 mana destroy an enemy minion, summon a 5/6, 5/7 minion. I don't know how big it'll get, but hey, it might be good, it might not be, who knows? It's custom. But with all the Shah taken care of, let's go ahead and start looking at some of the denizens of Pandaria. Up next, we've got a Crasserang Crane. A Crasserang Crane is a 2 mana 3/2 beast with channel 1. Give your hero +2 attack next turn. And because it's a channel effect, you'll gain the 2 attack on your next turn. Even if this minion gets silenced or something else, it's still going to generate the +2 attack. Not necessarily an overpowered effect, but I would say it's a pretty solid effect for a neutral minion. Up next, we're going to take a look at the Natural Restorer. The Natural Restorer is a 3 mana 2/2 minion with Battlecry. Destroy both players' armor. Restore health to both heroes equal to the armor they lost. So now you have a way of turning all that armor that warrior or druid has picked up, or maybe even mages hiding behind, and you can turn that into health for them very generously. They'll appreciate it, I promise. And up next, we have another use of the channel effect, the Pandaren Suppressor. Pandaren Suppressor is a 4 mana 4/3 minion with channel 1. Your opponent's start of turn and end of turn effects do not trigger next turn. That means that if you get this guy down before your opponent gets a channel minion down, you could stop them from channeling. You could also prevent start of turn effects, because we all know how overpowered a start of turn effect is. But let's go ahead and take a look at one of the creatures of Pandaria. We've got Devolving Basilisk is a 3 mana 3/4 beast with Battlecry. Transform your opponent's weapon into one that costs 1 less. It doesn't remove their weapon, but it wasn't the one they wanted, unless it gets better than the one they wanted. While the Devolving Basilisk is not going to probably compete with the Rustrot Viper or with the Acidic Swamp Ooze, it is something that is potentially going to be our only weapon removal if either of those don't rotate in with the core set. And in the theme of removal, we've got Plant Trampler. Plant Trampler is a 3 mana 3/2 beast with Battlecry. Remove 1 durability from a location. If that is the last charge, gain its benefits. That means that if your opponent has a location on the field that only has 1 durability or 1 use left, you'll be able to use it yourself. I don't know if it'll necessarily be good for you, but it's yours to do as you please. And with this entire expansion having vegetables and everybody potentially growing massive veggies, Plant Trampler looks like it could be a huge inclusion, or it could be something that you use to clear up your opponent's prison of Yogg Saron. The Plant Trampler is going to have a very diverse diet. And with the Plant Trampler in mind, let's take a look at the last neutral common card in this expansion, Scrapplebot. Scrapplebot is an 8 mana 8/9 mech with Rush and Taunt and Death Rattle. Summon a 1/1 Junko Bot. Equip it with 3 different spare parts. This is just a callback to the old spare parts mechanic. I don't know if this will necessarily be good, but it could pick up Taunt, or it could pick up a +1 health. Who knows? It's a little guy. He's going to be there to help you out. Say hi to Junklebot. And with Scrapplebot done, that is every card in the neutral common set. In the next video, we'll be taking a look at rare, epic, and legendary minions. And I hope to see you soon. Have a good day.